My beloved child, let your heart grow still in my presence. For not every place that once felt familiar to you is a place where I desire you to remain forever. There are doors that close not to abandon you, but to lead you out of a space that is no longer pure enough for your soul to grow. There are connections that leave your life, not because you have suffered loss, but because I am rescuing you from things that could quietly divert the calling I have placed within you. You once thought it was a safe place because it was familiar, because it was near, because it once gave you a small sense of being accepted. But I see deeper than what your eyes can perceive. I know which places are nourishing you, and which places are using outward gentleness to weaken the truth within you. Therefore, when I draw you out, even though it may hurt, remember what is written. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Psalm 12:17. My protection does not always come by allowing you to remain in what you desire, but by bringing you out of what you are not yet strong enough to recognize. I know there have been nights when you wondered whether you were wrong, whether you were too sensitive, whether the uneasiness within you was merely an old wound. Speaking again, but my child, not every trembling within the soul is weakness. There are times when I myself gently touch something within you, so that you can no longer sleep peacefully inside what is false. I awaken discernment, not so that you will become suspicious of everything, but so that you may learn to test what carries my breath, and what merely wears the appearance of goodness. As it is written, test all things, hold fast what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. I am not telling you to live in fear, but I am teaching you not to hand the keys of your soul to anything that has not been examined by the light. There are words that sound comforting, yet quietly force you to make yourself smaller. There is concern that appears gentle, yet places you inside a circle of control. There are embraces that carry the appearance of intimacy, yet have no faithfulness beneath them to uphold you. And when you feel the peace within you being pulled out of its rightful place, pause, for it may be the alarm I have placed inside your heart. Remember the story of Gehazi, the servant of Elisha. Outwardly what he did seemed to be only receiving a small gift from Manan, as though it were a minor matter, as though there was nothing significant about it. But I saw what lay behind that action. Greed had dressed itself in reason, and deceit had hidden itself beneath clever words. Elisha was not present when Gehazi ran after Naaman, but my spirit revealed what had been concealed. Do you see, my beloved? There are things human eyes do not witness, but heaven is never blind. There are motives wrapped in gentle language, yet before me they remain exposed. Therefore, I teach you not only to hear the sound of words, but to discern the spirit behind them. Do not merely look at the outward action. Observe whether it leads you closer to peace or draws you away from peace. For people look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:97. My child, manipulation often does not arrive like a storm crashing against the door. It comes like a soft breeze that makes you think you are being cared for. It does not always begin with obvious pressure, but with sentences that make you question your own perception, with closeness that makes you feel indebted, with promises that cause you to ignore warning signs. It may praise you in order to open the door, then slowly bend you into someone else's mold. It may say that it wants what is good for you, yet it is not pleased when you walk in freedom. It may call control love, possession, concern, and your silence peace. But true peace from me does not make you lose your voice. True love from me does not require you to betray the truth in order to remain. What belongs to me will never need to suffocate the light within you in order to keep you near. Therefore, when I allow certain things to be exposed, do not look only at the pain of the truth, look also at my mercy, and not allowing you to remain blind. There are breakings that are actually the beginning of healing. There are times when being misunderstood becomes the very place where I separate you from dependence on human approval. There are betrayals that become the doorway, leading you back into a deeper steadfastness in me. Joseph was sold by his brothers, forgotten in prison, and misunderstood through many seasons. Yet when I lifted him up, he looked back and said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. So it is with you as well. What once made you weep will not have the authority to define you. What once made you tremble will not have the right to write your ending. I am the one holding the pen over your life, and I do not write failure over a soul whom I have called with everlasting love. Therefore, do not be quick to conclude that this painful season is proof that you have been abandoned. No, my beloved child, this may be the season in which I am removing from you the invisible cords that have bound you to what no longer belongs to you. I am purifying you not with a fire of destruction, but with a holy fire that causes the gold within you to shine. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Malachi 3:3. And what I am doing within you is not meant to break you without purpose, but to remove from your soul the dim dust of fear, dependence, and self-blame. You will not come out of this season with a bitter heart. You will come out with clearer eyes, with a heart that is softer yet no longer easily missiled, with a love that is deeper yet no longer willing to exchange truth for the sake of being loved. Let me teach you to discern the difference between a trial and a warning. A trial may weary you, but it does not strip you of the dignity I have given you. A warning is different. It causes your soul to shrink, makes you feel that you must become smaller, remain silent, and apologize for your light when something continually pulls you away from peace, away from prayer, away from clarity, and away from honesty before me. You must bring it into the light, not so that you may judge hastily, but so that darkness will not lead you astray with beautiful words. The wisdom that comes from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits. James 3:17. Recognize it by its fruit. What comes from me may correct you, but it will not humiliate you. It may shape you, but it will not crush you. It may challenge you to grow, but it will not cause the life within your heart to die. Now let your heart rest in me. No one can take from you what I have ordained unless you surrender it yourself to fear. No betrayal is stronger than my faithfulness. No misunderstanding is greater than my voice calling your name. No darkness can swallow a soul that is being kept by me. I am bringing you into true safety, not a place without storms, but a place where you know you are firmly anchored in me, even when the storms arise. And when you look back, you will see that I was present in every detail, in the door that closed, in the uneasiness you felt, in the truth that was exposed, and in the tears you thought no one saw. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. Therefore, keep walking, my beloved child. Do not let what is false make you afraid of the truth. Do not let those who did not know how to protect you cause you to question your worth. I am separating you not to make you lonely, but to place you in the right place, with the right people in the right rhythm, under the right light that I'd have prepared for your life. My beloved child, listen to my voice in the deepest stillness of your heart. Not everything that leaves you is a loss, and not everything that is exposed comes to wound you further. There are seasons when I allow the outer shell of a matter to crack, not so that you may panic, but so that you may see what has been hidden beneath it for too long. There were faces that once appeared to you with gentleness, words that once seemed to carry support, doors that once looked like favor, but when my light shines upon them, you will begin to recognize what truly carries life and what merely borrows the appearance of goodness in order to draw you into dependence. Do not tremble before the light, for the light does not come to condemn you. The light comes to return freedom to you. As it is written, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Psalm 20:71. When I make something clear, it is because I love you too much to let you continue living in a haze that wears down your soul. Perhaps you once blamed yourself for trusting too long, for staying silent too often, for trying to understand things that were in truth hurting you. But I speak to you now. Do not turn today's awakening into a sentence against the person you were yesterday. When you did not yet see, I still saw. When you did not yet understand, I was still watching over you. When you thought you were merely enduring, I was quietly preparing the moment to untie from you the cords that natural eyes could not see. The truth I bring to you is not a heavy stone placed upon your chest. Truth is the key that opens the door of an invisible prison. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Therefore, do not be afraid when a word, a relationship, a circumstance, or an intention is revealed for what it truly is. What is exposed does not mean you have failed. What is exposed means, I am not allowing darkness to continue speaking in place of truth in your life. Remember Esther, my daughter, who seemed to have been placed in the palace merely through a turn of circumstances. Yet in truth I had positioned her there for an appointed time. Haman built his scheme out of pride, hiding malice beneath power and lawful-sounding words, thinking his plan would swallow up my people. But when my hour came, what had been hidden was brought to light. The banquet table became the place where truth stepped into the open, and the gallows the wicked man had prepared for the righteous became the testimony of a just reversal. Do you see, my beloved? I do not need chaos in order to break a wrongful scheme. I need only the right time, the right light, the right truth, and everything built on deception will collapse under the weight of its own corrupted foundation. For it is written, "The pit they have dug has captured their own feet." Psalm 9:15. This is not the revenge of a bitter heart. It is my righteousness, causing what is crooked to no longer continue wearing the mask of what is upright. Therefore, when you see something that was once covered, now no longer able to remain hidden, keep your heart in peace. Do not allow exposure to make you hard, and do not allow it to make you suspicious of all that is good. I did not open your eyes so that you would live on guard for the rest of your life. I opened your eyes so that you would walk in wisdom. Discernment is not fear given a more beautiful name. It is the clarity that comes from me, so that you may know what should be kept, what should be released, what should be prayed over further, and what must leave your life. Wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will watch over you. Understanding will guard you. Proverbs 20:10-11. You do not need to use your wounds to measure everyone, but you must use my light to test every path. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. What comes from me will not require you to lose yourself in order to be accepted. What belongs to me will not need darkness in order to survive. I know there have been times when you thought you were being lowered, pushed outside, and left behind. But my child, in my hands, the rejection of man is often the separation of heaven. When a place is no longer worthy to support what I have sown within you, I will not allow you to cling to it simply because you are afraid to begin again. When a foundation has cracks in it, I would rather shake it than let you build your entire future upon something that will collapse. You may call it loss in the moment, but I call it rescue clothed in pain. You may call it loneliness, but I call it a holy space where I can restore order within your soul. I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. I will turn the darkness before them into light. Isaiah 42:16. When you do not yet know where you are going, I still know where I am leading you. Do not let what others have done to you become your identity. You are not the betrayal you once endured. You are not the poisonous words that were once thrown into your heart. You are not the door that closed, nor are you the silence of those who should have stood beside you. You are the one I have called by name, the one I am lifting up, the one I am restoring with unchanging love. What others have done may touch your emotions, but it has no authority to rewrite my intention for you. Joseph carried a robe torn from his hands. He passed through the pit, the house of slavery, and the prison. Yet not one stage could erase the throne I had prepared. When the appointed time came, what seemed to have buried him became the very path that brought him to the place where he needed to stand. Therefore, my beloved child, understand this. Delay is not always denial, and brokenness is not always the end. Many times it is the way I move you out of an old place and bring you into a position no one can steal. Now I want you to breathe deeply in my presence and surrender to me the questions that still ache within your heart. Give me the sorrow over the things that were revealed to be different from what you once believed. Give me the regret you feel because you loved, hoped, and waited in places that did not know how to protect you. I do not despise the tenderness of your heart. I will heal it. I do not blame you for trusting. I will teach you to trust with greater wisdom. I am not taking away your ability to love. I am only purifying that love from dependence, from fear, and from the need to be validated by those who do not have the capacity to see the value I placed within you. And when I purify, I do not make you cold. I make you clearer, steadier, and freer. Keep walking, my child, but do not walk with the posture of someone who has just escaped a storm and still fears the sky. Walk as one who has been kept by me in the midst of the storm and knows that my hand is never let go. The stage you are entering is not only a season in which false things expose themselves, it is also a season in which you receive back your voice, your peace, your clarity, and the dignity that wrongful bonds once caused you to forget. I am cutting invisible cords, not so that you may drift, but so that you may be anchored in me. I am uprooting false roots, not so that the soil of your heart may remain empty, but so that I may sow better seeds within it, and you will see when everything unreal is separated away. What is true will no longer be hidden. When false voices fall silent, my voice within you will become clearer. When the hands that held you through control finally release you, you will realize that my hand has always been the safest place. Rest your heart, my beloved, for I am not only rescuing you from what is past, I am preparing you for what is holier, Vita, and more enduring ahead. My beloved child, when you pass through seasons that make your heart weary, do not be quick to call them signs that you are losing. There are things that outwardly seem to weaken you, yet in my hands, they are becoming the very place where I forge your inner strength again. There are collisions that make you think you are being broken, but in truth, I am realigning the vertical axis of your soul so that you no longer lean according to the voices of this world. You once thought strength meant never being wounded, never trembling, always standing firm before everything. But I am teaching you a deeper truth. True strength is not that you are never touched, but that even when you are touched, you still know how to return to me. You still do not lose your light, and you still do not give darkness the authority to define you. For it is written, my strength is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Therefore, what you call weakness may be the very place where my grace is setting its throne, and what you thought was a crack may be the opening through which my light shines more clearly. There are times when you are misunderstood, and that pain does not come only from what others say, but from the feeling that you have not been seen rightly. You want to explain, to prove, to make people understand that your heart is not as they think it is. But my child, I am leading you out of dependence on human eyes, not because your feelings do not matter, but because I do not want your soul imprisoned in the courtroom of limited perceptions. If you live only to be understood by everyone, you will grow weary because each person sees you through a different lens. But when you stand before me, you are seen in complete truth. The Lord looks at the heart, 1 Samuel 16:7. And when I have known you, you do not need to run everywhere, asking others to confirm your purity. Let me be the one who bears witness for you in the places where you cannot defend yourself. Let your silence become trust, not helplessness. And when you feel pushed out of a place, a group of people, a connection, or a position that once made you believe you belonged, do not see that departure only as rejection. There are separations that are my mercy working quietly. I may bring you out of a noisy place, so that my voice within you becomes clearer. I may allow you to be placed outside familiar circles, so that what is wrong can no longer shape you unconsciously. I may close a door that once made you feel safe, because behind it are voices that muddy the waters of your soul. Remember Abraham when I called him to leave his country, his father's house, and everything familiar to go to the land I would show him. He did not have the entire map in his hand, but he carried my promise in his heart, and that very departure became the pathway of covenant. So it is with you as well. There are things I separate you from, not because I want you to feel displaced, but because I am leading you into a wider land, where you are no longer disturbed by sounds that do not come from me. Understand this with a peaceful heart. Darkness does not have the right to use your life in the way it imagines. It may scheme, steer confusion, sow misunderstanding, and make you pass through heavy hours, but it never has the authority to cross the boundary I have set. As in the story of Job, the enemy thought that testing could make him curse me. But in the end, that very testing revealed a deeper faithfulness, and I restored his life in abundance. This does not mean your pain is small, nor does it mean what you have endured is insignificant. I see every tear, every long night, every unspoken question, but I speak this over you: what darkness used to make you fall, I can turn into a stepping stone that lifts you higher in the knowledge of me. We know that all things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28. Not all things are good, but in my hands all things can be brought into submission to serve the good I have ordained. Therefore, do not be afraid when you are in the midst of the process of being refined. The refiner does not place silver into the fire because he hates the silver, but to remove from it the impurities that dim its true brilliance. In the same way, I do not allow you to pass through trials in order to destroy you, but to strengthen the deepest part of you, the place where you no longer live by reaction, no longer are led by panic, and no longer are shaken by approval that comes and goes. When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. Job 23:10. Do you see? The fire does not have the final voice. The one who holds the fire has the final voice. And I will never allow the flame to touch you beyond the holy purpose I have permitted. It may melt away fear, burn away dependence, and reveal the places that need healing, but it cannot consume the destiny I have placed within you. There are battles you are facing not to prove how strong the darkness is, but to reveal how faithful I am. You are not being attacked in order to be erased. You are being established in the very place that once made you tremble. Daniel did not meet the lions to be devoured, but so that an entire kingdom would see that even the mouths of lions must fall silent before my command. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not enter the fiery furnace to become ashes, but so that people would see there was a fourth one walking with them in the fire. So it is with you as well. There are circumstances that seem as though they will end you, but when I am present within them, they become places where my protection is revealed. The most frightening thing is not that you encounter fire, but that you forget I can be with you in the fire. And I speak to you today. I am there. I am in the pressure. I am in the misunderstanding. I am in the empty space. I am in the season where you have not yet seen the outcome. I am nearer than your breath. When my reversal begins to operate, you will understand that I do not merely rescue you out of darkness. I also transform the very darkness once used against you into a new foundation for your growth. The words that once made you doubt yourself will become the reason you learn to stand firm in my word. The exclusions that once made you feel lonely will become the place where you meet me more intimately. The trials that once made you tremble will become evidence that your soul has been anchored deeply in the one who cannot be shaken. As it is written, He brought me up out of the pit of destruction, out of the merry clay. He set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. Psalm 42. You are not only being pulled out, you are being repositioned. You are not only being comforted, you are being built. You are not merely surviving, you are being made steadfast. Therefore, my beloved child, stop calling every pressure a sign that you have been abandoned. Look with spiritual eyes and recognize my hand, working in the things you do not yet fully understand. I am restructuring your endurance, deepening the roots of your faith, purifying your motives, and placing within you a stability that no longer depends on circumstances. You will no longer be so easily pulled away by noise, no longer rush after approval, no longer fear being misunderstood to the point of losing the truth. I am teaching you to stand upright in the light, not with a hardened heart, but with a peace that has roots. And on the day you look back, you will not only say, I made it through. You will say, God Himself turned the place where I thought I would collapse into the rock on which I now stand more firmly. Rest your heart, my child. Your destination is not in the hands of darkness. Your life is held in my hands. And what I have ordained within you will not be destroyed by anything raised up against you. My beloved child, be still and look at what I am quietly doing in the deepest hidden place within you. There were things that once pulled you down, kept your heart trapped in old cycles, and made you believe you could not leave. But now they no longer hold the same attraction they once did. Do not think this is merely discouragement, and do not call it coldness or a loss of feeling. At times it is I who am renewing you within so gently that you do not recognize it immediately. I do not always rescue you through a loud and dramatic event. Many times I rescue you by making your soul no longer compatible with what once bound it. As it is written, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. That renewal is not merely you trying to think differently. It is me restoring the way you perceive, the way you discern, the way you respond, and the way you love the very life I have entrusted to you. In the past, perhaps you had to fight greatly to step out of a habit, a place, a relationship, a pattern of thought, or a quiet dependence. You tried to convince yourself to be strong, tried to detach from what was no longer healthy, tried to rise again from the things that hurt you. But my child, there is a deeper form of rescue. I lift you to a level where the old thing can no longer find a place to cling within you. When an eagle flies high, the noises on the ground no longer reach it as they once did. When a clear spring has been opened, muddy waters no longer satisfy your thirst. When light is present, darkness does not need to be debated piece by piece. It withdraws on its own, because it cannot remain in the same atmosphere. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. This, my beloved child, is holy separation. Not that you despise anyone, not that you are running away from life, but that your soul is being brought back to its rightful level in me. Remember Eli, my servant, after he had stood before great battles and seen my power revealed. And yet afterward, he became so weary that he lay down under the broom tree and asked to die, I did not come to him with harsh rebuke. I did not tell him to rise immediately, as though his exhaustion were something shameful. I sent an angel to touch him, gave him bread and water, allowed him to sleep, and then awakened him again with care. I nourished him step by step until he had strength to continue. After that, I did not appear in the great wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in a gentle whisper. Do you see? I did not only change Elijah's circumstances, I changed the atmosphere within him. I brought him out of collapse, not by force, but by healing presence. And I am doing the same with you, restoring strength to your soul, soothing the places that have been stretched too tightly, and lifting you out of the level of weariness you once thought was your destiny. Therefore, when you realize that you no longer want to return to the places that once wounded you, receive it as a sign of new life. When you no longer feel the need to prove yourself, write to those who have already chosen to misunderstand you. That does not mean you have lost. It means I am removing from your shoulders a burden that never belonged to you. When you are no longer swept away by vague promises, closeness without foundation, or opportunities that look beautiful on the surface but make your heart uneasy, that does not mean you have lost faith. It means discernment within you is becoming sharper. The path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, shining brighter and brighter until the full day. Proverbs 4:18. The more the light increases, the more you recognize what no longer belongs with your steps, not because you are becoming hard, but because you are becoming clear. There are seasons when I do not need you to use all your strength to break away from what is wrong. I simply cause what is right within you to grow. When new life grows, the old shell cracks on its own. When your spiritual awareness is lifted higher, the things that once seemed attractive suddenly become pale, not because you are trying to hate them, but because they no longer have the ability to nourish you. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. When a child grows, he no longer cries for the toy that once held his attention all day, not because that toy is cursed, but because he has stepped into another level of maturity. So it is with you. There are things that may have been suitable for you in an old season, but they no longer have a place in the season into which I am leading you. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. 1 Corinthians 13:11. Maturity does not always come with thunder. Sometimes it comes through a very holy loss of appetite. I know that at times you are confused by your own change. You wonder why the things that once moved you no longer touch you, why the places you once tried so hard to cling to now make you want to walk away in peace, why the promises that once were enough to keep you waiting no longer have the strength to make you sacrifice clarity. My child, do not be afraid of that change. I am realigning the inner frame of reference within you. In the past, you may have measured your worth by who chose you, who kept you, who acknowledged you, and who needed you. But now I am teaching you to measure your life by my presence, by my peace, by my truth, and by the calling I have placed within you. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:32. Truth does not only set you free from outward lies, it also sets you free from old ways of seeing that once caused you to lower yourself. And remember Ruth, the woman who stood before a quiet, yet deeply sacred choice. After loss, she could have returned to what was familiar, to the old path, to the old gods, to a life that would have seemed more understandable in human eyes. But within her heart, there was a turning that no one forced upon her. She said to Naomi, "Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God." Ruth 1:16. That was not merely loyalty to a person. It was the sign of a soul that had shifted into another spiritual level. She was no longer pulled by the past, nor held back by what was familiar. And that very departure from the old territory led her into the field of Boaz, into redemption, and into the lineage I had prepared. Do you see? When I lift a soul higher, the new path may begin with a very quiet step away from what is old, but its fruit carries the mark of eternity. Therefore, do not see your loss of interest in old things as a frightening emptiness. Many times it is the space I am clearing, so I can place within you a pure desire. Do not see your silence before old arguments as weakness. At times it is a sign that you no longer need to spend holy oil in places that only want to pull you into a useless cycle. Do not see your refusal to keep chasing explanations as giving up. At times it is the maturity of one who has learned that I can defend you better than you can defend yourself. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Psalm 30:77. Silence in me is not the muteness of fear. It is the posture of a soul that has placed the matter into the hands of the righteous one. Now I want you to recognize the grace that is working through very small changes. Every time you no longer react as you once did, it is evidence that I am healing you. Every time you are no longer pulled into the old chaos, it is a sign that your roots are growing deeper into peace. Every time you choose not to lower yourself in order to be kept, it is new life rising within you. Every time you feel your heart leaning toward truth, even when truth requires you to release what is familiar, it is I who am leading you out of an invisible prison. You do not need to fear that you are becoming distant. I am making you purer in your nearness to me. You do not need to fear that you are losing something. I am freeing you from the things that could only remain when you lived beneath the level. I have called you to rise above. Keep walking with tenderness and wisdom. My beloved child, do not return to the lower place simply because it was once familiar. Do not question the renewal simply because it comes gently. Not every miracle is loud. There are miracles that happen when your soul awakens and says, I no longer belong there. I am raising your spiritual frequency, causing you to love what is pure more deeply, to hear my voice more clearly, to hate falsehood without becoming bitter, to release what is wrong without needing to wage war, and to walk away while keeping your heart in peace. And as you continue walking with me, you will see that what does not share, the same light will fall away from your life on its own, while what I have ordained for you will come with clarity, stability, and peace. Rest your heart, for I am not only changing what is around you, I am renewing you from within, so that you no longer have to be pulled down by what you were created to overcome. My beloved child, when my voice begins to resound more clearly within your heart, you will realize that there are sounds that once shook you, but no longer have the authority to pull you away as they did before. The judgments that once made you shrink back, the glances that once confused you, the silences that once caused you to wonder whether you had value, these are gradually losing their weight, not because the world has become gentler, nor because everyone has learned to treat you more rightly, but because I have moved you into a different position in the spirit. When a soul still stands on sand, every wind can make it stagger, but when I set your feet upon the rock, waves may still crash, noise may still rise, yet the foundation beneath your feet is no longer swept away. As it is written, He set my feet upon a rock and made my steps secure. Psalm 4:2. This is what I am doing within you, not merely calming the outward circumstances, but rebuilding the place where you stand within. There was a time when you lived as though every word others spoke was a sentence passed over you, every cold attitude a declaration of your worth, every delay, every distance, every answer lacking gentleness, able to tilt you away from peace. I saw you trying to interpret every sign, trying to read every silence, trying to measure your heart by the way others responded to you. But my child, that is not the place where I created you to remain. I did not create you to be ruled by sounds that do not carry my breath. I did not call you to live bent under the weight of expectation, misunderstanding, and the fear of being rejected. Now I am rebuilding your spiritual backbone, not through cold hardness, but through a gentle steadfastness born from knowing that you belong to me. For in Him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. When you know that you exist in me, you no longer have to ask the world for permission to stand upright. Understand this. The freedom I give is not only escape from an outward circumstance. It is deliverance from the inward power that circumstance once held over you. There are people who may still speak as they always have, but their words no longer pierce as deeply as before. There are places that may still carry the old atmosphere, but you are no longer pulled into it. There are memories that may still return, but they no longer hold the strings that control your reactions. This is a sign that I have changed the structure within you. Stand firm in the freedom for which Christ has set us free. Galatians 5:1. And that firmness is not you gritting your teeth to endure, nor forcing yourself to appear strong, but being placed upon a new foundation where the old thing no longer has enough authority to pull you back into the old position. You no longer react as before, because you no longer live from the old wound as before. Look at how I dealt with Elijah, my servant. After days of facing dark powers and fierce opposition, he ran into the wilderness, so weary that he thought he was alone. He lay down beneath the broom tree with a soul drained of strength, and the fear within him became so great that it clouded even the memory of the victories I had just given. But I did not come to him with rebuke that shamed him. I sent an angel to bring him bread and water. I allowed him to sleep. I nourished him again. Then, when he stood upon the mountain, I did not reposition him through a strong wind tearing the mountains, nor through an earthquake shaking the foundations, nor through fire blazing before his eyes, but through a gentle whisper in holy stillness. After the fire came a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. I taught him that the loudest voice is not always the voice with the greatest authority. And I am teaching you the same thing. Do not let violent sounds make you forget my voice, which is gentle yet absolute. There were voices in your life to which you once gave far too much weight. There was the voice of judgment, always telling you that you were not good enough. There was the voice of comparison, always causing you to look at others and then diminish the part I am doing within you. There was the voice of fear, always painting dark endings before you had the chance to believe in my guidance. There was the voice of the past, always reminding you of the times you stumbled, as though my grace were not enough to lift you up again. But when my voice becomes clear, those voices do not need you to keep debating them forever. They lose their power on their own, because truth has reclaimed the throne within your heart. Just as light does not need to ask darkness for permission to shine, my word does not need to negotiate with lies in order to set you free. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. When that light leads you, you do not need to chase every voice calling from the margins. I know that at times you mistake this new peace for numbness. You wonder why you no longer react as strongly as before, why the words that once wounded you now simply pass through your heart, why you can hear an evaluation and no longer feel that you must immediately explain, defend, or prove yourself. My child, that does not mean your heart has grown cold. It means your heart is being healed from dependence on voices that have no authority to define it. True tenderness does not mean allowing everyone to make you bleed. True humility does not mean bowing beneath every judgment. True love does not mean opening the door of your soul to everything that wants to enter. I am teaching you to guard your heart with wisdom, for it is written, "Guard your heart above all else, for out of it flow the issues of life." Proverbs 4:23. Guarding your heart is not closing your heart. Guarding your heart is placing it under my rule, instead of under the invasion of chaotic voices. Remember Nehemiah when he rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. Sanballat and Tobiah mocked him, threatened him, invented accusations, and tried to pull him down from the work I had entrusted to him. But Nehemiah did not allow their words to become his center. He did not come down to argue with those who had no part in the building. He answered that he was doing a great work and could not come down. Do you see? When a person knows what I have entrusted to them, they are no longer easily pulled away from the wall by voices that seek to delay restoration. This is the new lesson I am placing before you. Not every invitation is worthy of your presence. Not every accusation requires your defense. And not every noise has the right to demand that you step down from the place where I have positioned you. Therefore, when you feel a new quiet strength within you, do not be afraid of it. That is the rock being formed. That is the upright axis being restored. That is freedom becoming your nature, not merely a beautiful idea. In the past, you may have been tilted by the fear of losing people, losing a place, losing approval, losing an opportunity, or losing a certain image in the eyes of others. But now I am teaching you that what belongs to me does not require you to lose yourself in order to keep it. What I give does not require you to live in contraction in order to be worthy of it. What I have ordained for you is not destroyed by the judgments of those who cannot see what I have sown within you. If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. That does not mean no one will oppose you. It means that opposition has no authority higher than my purpose. There may still be days when you hear the old voices again and feel your heart tremble for a moment. Do not be quick to condemn yourself. Healing does not always mean that you feel nothing at all. It means you know not to let that feeling rule you. Maturity is not the absence of pain in the face of what is wrong, but the ability to bring that pain back to me before it becomes reaction, bitterness, or panic. When you return to me, I will remind you of what is true. I will settle your heart again in peace. I will teach you to hear my voice above the voice of fear. My sheep hear my voice. I know them and they follow me. John 10:27. You are my sheep. And more you will recognize the voice of the shepherd above the voice of the stranger. Now, my beloved child, stand upright in the freedom I have given you. Do not bow beneath words I did not send. Do not shrink before glances that have no right to write your name. Do not exchange your peace in order to be understood by those who only want to keep you in an old mold. I am placing within you a new stability, a steadfastness that is not loud, a courage that does not need to perform. From now on, when my voice resounds within you, let every other voice return to its proper place. They may exist, but they no longer rule. They may sound, but they no longer define. They may touch the surface of the water, but they cannot shake the rock beneath. Rest your heart, for I have rebuilt you from within. And what I have built in you will stand firm, not by your own strength, but by my living presence lifting you day by day in light, freedom, and peace. My beloved child, let your heart rest from the burden of having to prove that you are worthy of being lifted up. You do not enter this season by your own merit, nor have you been brought here because you have never been weak, never stumbled, never felt confused in the midst of violent winds. If I only lifted the perfect, no one would be able to stand before me. But I am rich in mercy, and my grace does not flow according to the severe standards of man. That grace comes like a river from the holy place, passing through the cracks, touching the places you thought had dried up, and lifting you out of the old level from which you could not escape by yourself. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God. Ephesians 2:8. Therefore, do not look at your shortcomings and then question what I am doing. What I give does not begin with your perfection, but with my unwavering faithfulness. I want you to understand something deeper. When I turn your life around, I do not merely change the scenery around you. I do not merely move one person out of your path, open a door, close a door, or alter the rhythm of outward circumstances. My true reversal begins at the level of invisible authority, operating behind everything. When fear holds authority, you look at everything through the eyes of panic. When wounds hold authority, you interpret everything through painful memory. When the words of others hold authority, you live as though your soul must wait for a verdict from human lips. But when I enter and restore the rule within you, everything begins to shift direction. Not because every noise immediately falls silent, but because those noises no longer sit on the throne of your heart, as it is written, "For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set me free from the law of sin and death." Romans 8:22. When the higher law begins to operate, the lower law no longer has the right to hold you, as it once did. Perhaps in the past you thought you needed to fight your way out of darkness, to strive endlessly to find a way out of the things that once bound you, to use your own strength to break every cord of fear, sin, shame, dependence, and sorrow. But my child, I am teaching you to see with a new understanding. You are no longer standing inside a prison searching for the key. I have opened the door and called you to walk in freedom. You are no longer one over whom darkness holds ownership. You are one who has been redeemed by love. He has delivered us from the power of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of His beloved Son. Colossians 1:13. Hear this carefully. My child, not only brought out, but also brought in. Not only freed from the old, but also placed into a new kingdom. Not only no longer belonging to darkness, but beginning to belong to the light, where the authority directing your life has changed hands. Therefore, do not keep walking as someone who is still asking darkness for permission to be free. Do not look at the remaining trials and assume the chains are still intact. There may still be echoes of the past, but an echo is not a throne. Old feelings may still rise, but feelings are not the final decree. Certain circumstances may not yet have fully changed before your eyes, but the authority over your life is no longer in their hands. I am leading you by my word, not by the shifting weather around you. My word that goes out from my mouth shall not return to me empty. It shall accomplish what I desire. Isaiah 55:11. If I have spoken life over you, death has no authority to write the ending. If I have called you forward, then whatever tries to pull you backward is only resisting what it cannot defeat. Remember the people of Israel when they stood before the Red Sea. Behind them was Pharaoh's army. Before them was deep water, and on both sides was a space that seemed to offer no way out. In human eyes, they had been driven into a dead end, but in my eyes, they were standing at the place where the old power would be exposed as helpless before my covenant. Pharaoh thought he still had the right to pursue, still had the right to take back those whom I had called out of slavery. But when I parted the sea, I did not only open a way for my people to pass through, I also declared that the old yoke could not enter the future I had ordained for them. The same waters that opened a path for the redeemed became the final boundary for the power of oppression. Do you see, my beloved child? That is holy reversal. What seemed to block your way became the path. What seemed to pursue you was buried in the very place I opened to save you. In the same way, I am restoring the way you see the things that once frightened you. When you look through old memory, you will call every pressure a sign of danger. When you look through old wounds, you will call every delay abandonment. When you look through old voices, you will call every separation failure. But when I renew your eyes, you will begin to recognize that there are pressures pushing you into maturity, delays protecting you from what is not yet ready, and separations guarding you from what no longer belongs to the promise. Blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. Matthew 13:16. I do not only want you to survive what happens, I want you to see the true meaning of what happens in my light. For the deepest battle is not always in what occurs, but in what you believe is occurring. My beloved child, when I lift you up, that flow does not need permission from the powers that once wanted to keep you low. My grace is not blocked by accusation. My mercy is not delayed by jealousy. My purpose is not overturned by the plans of man. You are not being lifted because you have won every battle by your own strength. You are being lifted because I held your hand in the battles where you thought you could no longer stand. He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the ash heap to seat them with princes. 1 Samuel 2:8. I can lift a soul from the lowest place without asking the opinion of those who once looked down on it. I can set you again upon a higher foundation without needing the agreement of the voices that once doubted you. Therefore, stop living as though you still have to earn what I have already given. Stop standing outside the gate of freedom when I have already opened the door. Stop asking whether you are clean enough to be loved, strong enough to be used, or perfect enough to be led. I did not call you because you had no wounds. I called you and healed you as you walked. I did not wait for you to become whole before leading you into the light. It is my light that makes you more whole each day. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion, until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1:6. This work was begun by me, is kept by me, and will be completed by me. Your part is to believe, to walk, to obey, and to remain. But the root of your rising is not in your own strength, but in my unchanging promise. From now on, when something old tries to return and tell you that you still belong to it, answer with the steady silence of one who knows that ownership has been transferred. When fear tells you that you will fall again, remember that I did not lift you only by a passing emotion. I placed you within a new reality. When accusation reminds you of the former days, remember that grace does not deny the past by pretending it never existed, but overcomes the past by making it powerless to rule. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You are not a redecorated prisoner. You are a new creation placed under new authority. Let this truth sink deeply into the foundation of your understanding. You are not merely passing through a season where circumstances are changing. You are stepping into a change of vision. I am removing from your eyes the mist of fear, from your mind the old maps drawn by pain, and from your heart the false conclusions that made you believe you must always struggle to be kept. When I change the way you see, I change the way you walk. When I change the way you understand, I change the way you respond. When I change the place where you stand within, the things outside you no longer control you, as they once did. This is where reversal becomes complete. Not only do events shift direction, but your soul no longer reads your life in the language of defeat. Now, my beloved child, walk in the flow that is lifting you. Do not strain like an abandoned one, trying to climb out of a deep pit alone. Walk as one uphill by my hand. Do not tremble as one still lying beneath the authority of darkness. Stand as one who has been brought into the light. Do not allow circumstances to master the interpretation of your life. Let my decree become the foundation for everything you believe. And when you look back on this journey, you will not say that you overcame everything by yourself to arrive here. You will know and testify that it was I who lifted you through the waters, through the dark nights, through the closed doors, through the opposing words, and through even the moments when you thought you had no strength to keep going. I lifted you and I placed you where the old no longer has enough authority to pull you back. Rest your heart, for authority has changed hands. The current has changed direction. Your eyes are being renewed, and your life is being led not by the darkness that is already lost, but by me, the one who loves you, keeps you, calls you, and completes what I began within you. My beloved child, hear me in the deepest part of your soul. In this stage, what I seek from you is not haste, not frantic effort to prove that you are worthy, and not an exhausting race to seize a position I have already prepared. There are seasons when you must fight not to give up, but there are also seasons when the greatest wisdom is to keep the right rhythm with me. You do not need to run ahead of grace, nor fall behind my guidance. You only need to walk in the flow of my spirit, where each step is placed down not by fear, but by listening. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." Isaiah 30:21. When you hear rightly, you will walk rightly. When you walk rightly, what I have ordained will meet you at the right time, in the right place, and in the right order. In the past, perhaps you lived with the posture of having to open the way by your own strength. You thought that if you did not try harder, do more, hold tighter, or prove yourself more clearly, you would be left behind. But I am teaching you another strategy, one that belongs to heaven. Not everything is received by pursuit. Some things only come when you stand in the right place, where I have planted you. When a tree is planted by streams of water, it does not need to run in search of its fruitful season. In due time, its fruit comes forth naturally. He shall be like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither. Psalm 1:3. So it is with you. When your roots are rightly placed in me, rising will no longer be something you beg for in anxiety, but the natural fruit of a life positioned in the right place. I have not called you into passivity, but I also do not want you to confuse haste with faith. There are doors that open only when you arrive in the right rhythm. There are connections that appear only when you have been healed enough not to cling to them out of fear. There are responsibilities entrusted only when your heart no longer seeks validation from them. Therefore, my beloved child, do not force what is not yet ripe to bloom, and do not break open a door I have not told you to enter. Subtle obedience is not always loud. It knows how to stop when I say stop, how to go when I say go, how to wait when I am preparing, and how to release when I am separating. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. The one who understands my timing will not spend holy oil in races they were never sent to run. Remember David, my son, who was anointed to be king while he was still a shepherd boy. The oil was upon his head, the promise was upon his life. But the throne did not immediately come into his hands in the way human eyes would have expected. He had many opportunities to seize for himself what I had promised. There were even moments when Saul was within his reach, and one stroke of the sword could have seemed to shorten his path to the throne. But David did not enter what was holy with a spirit of haste. He did not use the flesh to complete a spiritual promise. He knew that what I give I also have the authority to bring forth at the appointed time. So he waited. He guarded his heart, and he did not allow pressure to turn him into one who takes by force. Do you see, my beloved child? Sometimes maturity is not found in whether you can take something, but in whether you have enough reverence not to touch what I have not yet handed to you in my hour. In the same way, the position I have prepared for you does not require you to lower your dignity in order to beg for it. What belongs to you and me will not force you to betray your calling in order to be accepted. When you stand rightly in my presence, that place will recognize you, because I myself have placed my mark upon you. You will no longer have to chase elevation like someone afraid of being forgotten. You will see lifting come as the fruit of a life that has been faithful in the hidden place. Humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. 1 Peter 5:9-6. My lifting does not come to satisfy pride, but to confirm silent preparation. And when I lift, no one can pull down what I have placed upon the foundation of grace. But my beloved child, understand that what I am doing in you is not for you alone. I did not rescue you from cycles of manipulation, betrayal, and confusion only so that you could feel lighter and then stop there. I heal you so that you may become a living witness. I set you free so that you may know how to take the hand of those who are still chained by what you once overcame. I cause your eyes to become clear so that you may become a lamp for those walking in the fog. As it is written, as the Father has sent me, I also send you. John 12:21. My sending does not always begin on a large stage. Often it begins with a heart healed enough to no longer bleed upon the very people it is called to help. You will comfort not with empty theory, but with the comfort that once carried you through the dark night. You will speak to the suffering, not with the voice of one standing outside and observing, but with the voice of one who once lay in the ashes and was lifted by me. God comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others with the comfort we ourselves have received from him. 2 Corinthians 1:4. This is the principle of the kingdom. A wound touched by me will no longer be only a painful memory. It becomes a place where authority is born, not authority to judge others, but authority to understand, to lift, to warn, and to guide with mercy and truth. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well. She came to the well at an empty hour, carrying a life marked by many broken places, many things judged by others, and many thirsts she could not put into words. But when she encountered Christ, she was not only seen through, she was restored. What had once made her ashamed no longer became the place that imprisoned her. She returned to the city and became a voice that caused many people to come and meet the Lord. Do you see, my beloved child, I can turn the place you once wanted to hide into the very place where your testimony begins. I can turn the story you once thought was only loss into a bridge by which others find the living water. When I heal a soul, I do not merely make it stop hurting. I make it become a sign to other souls that there is still hope. Therefore, do not see your past as a stain that makes you unable to be sent. Do not think that because you were once silent in pain, you cannot become a voice. It was in those seasons of silence that you learned to hear my voice above the voice of the world. Do not think that because you were once wounded, you cannot become a place of healing. It is precisely where the wound has been touched by me that holy oil begins to flow. Do not think that because you were once led wrongly, you cannot guide others rightly. Because you know the danger of darkness disguised as light, you will know how to help others discern what is true and what is false. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Your light does not come from the fact that you have never passed through darkness, but from the fact that darkness could not swallow you, because I was with you. Now I want you to enter this new chapter with a peaceful heart, not in haste, not in panic, not striving to prove that you are ready before the eyes of those who were never given authority to position you. Stand rightly where I place you. Hear rightly what I speak. Walk in the rhythm I lead, and let the rest come into its proper order. What needs to find you will find you. Those who need to receive light through you will be led to you. The door that needs to open will open. The mission that needs to take shape will take shape. You do not need to wrestle for what I have ordained. You only need to remain in me. Abide in me, and I will abide in you. John 15:4. Every true fruit begins with abiding, not with striving apart from the source. And as you continue walking, you will understand that I am not only lifting you from a low place, but also making you into a stream that lifts others. You will not lead them with superiority, but with the humility of one who knows that you too were once lifted by grace. You will not heal them by your own strength, but by the presence I have placed within you. You will not need to be loud in order to have influence. A soul placed in the right rhythm with me carries the atmosphere of heaven by its very presence. Rest your heart, my beloved child. The way has been opened. The rhythm has been set. The oil has been poured out. And in the chapter ahead, you will see that what I do in you will not stop with you, but will spread outward, lift up, illuminate, and heal many others through the very light I have brought back to life within you. I know there are silences in your life that are not peace, but only exhaustion that has stopped crying out for help. There are nights when you lie still as though everything has passed. Yet deep within your soul, you are not truly resting. You have only learned how to stop reacting to pain. You call it strength. You call it maturity. You call it being used to it. But I see into the most hidden place within you, and I know this. A part of you has been convinced that merely surviving is enough. But my beloved child, I did not create you only to exist from day to day, like a flickering lamp in a closed room. I breathed life into you, so that you would walk in the light, so that you would unfold in love, so that you would know what abundant life truly is. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. John 10:10. That word is not a distant promise meant for someone else. It is the call I am placing once again upon your very soul today. You may have become used to holding on to everything, because you fear that if you let go, you will have nothing left. You hold on to connections that weigh down your heart, to roles that force you to make your voice smaller, to places that require you to hide the light I have placed within you. You tell yourself that at least this way, you still have someone, still have something familiar, still have a wall to lean against. But my child, not everything familiar is home, and not everything near you is truly giving you life. There are cages decorated with memories. There are chains called by the name of duty. There are silences the world mistakes for harmony. But in me you must learn to discern the difference between true peace, and the numbness of a soul that has gone too long without breathing. I do not condemn you for having held on. I do not stand at a distance to judge the choices you made while you were afraid. I know why you tried to keep everything calm. I know why you avoided confrontations. I know why you accepted loss and disadvantage, so that you would not lose anyone else. I see the child within you, who once trembled before emptiness, who once believed that being left behind was the deepest pain of all. And as you grew older, you learned how to trade truth in order to keep the presence of others. But I want you to hear this with your whole heart. You do not need to purchase love by betraying yourself. You do not need to bow so low that you lose your dignity just to remain in a place that cannot recognize the value I have placed upon you. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart and saves such as have a contrite spirit. Psalm 34:18. Therefore, even when you feel weak, I am still near. Even when you do not know how to step out, I am still holding you. There is a story I want you to remember, the story of Abraham, when I called him to leave his country, his relatives, and his father's house, and go to the land that I would show him. He was not given the entire map at once. He did not see the whole road ahead. He was not secured by the kinds of signs human beings often demand. Yet by faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he would receive as an inheritance. Hebrews 11:78. Do you see, my beloved child? There are promises that only open after you leave the place that has become too narrow for your soul. There are lands I have prepared for you that cannot be found while you keep clinging to the old tent, built upon the foundation of fear. Abraham did not leave because he hated the past. He left because he believed the one who called him was more trustworthy than everything familiar. And today I am not telling you to let go, because I want to take away what you love. I am teaching you to let go, so that your hands will no longer be occupied by things that cannot walk with you into the promise. There will come a time when you realize that what is true does not need to be held together by panic. What comes from me will not force you to lose your soul in order to maintain it. Healthy love does not require you to erase yourself again and again. A door I open will not require you to crawl through it in fear. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. A connection blessed by me will not stand only when you remain silent, shrink yourself too much, and pretend you are not hurting. The wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy. James 3:17. So look at the fruit of what you are holding. If it makes you smaller day by day, if it pulls you farther from the truth, if it makes you afraid of the light, then you must bring it before me and allow me to examine it. Do not fear the empty space that comes after letting go, because emptiness in my hands is not abandonment. It is the room where restoration begins. When I remove the noise that has covered my voice, at first you may feel lonely. When I separate you from the things you once clung to, at first you may feel as though you have lost direction. But my beloved child, there are seasons when I must quiet your heart so that you can hear the original calling I placed within you before you were wounded, before you learned to defend yourself, before you believed you were only worthy of half-given things. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10 is not a command for you to remain motionless in suffering. It is an invitation for you to stop struggling within false attachments and recognize that I am still reigning, still leading, still guarding what belongs to you. I am teaching you a very gentle kind of courage. Courage is not always roaring before the world. Sometimes courage is saying within your heart, I no longer want to live by endurance alone. Courage is admitting what has drained you. Courage is refusing to keep calling a repeated wound your destiny. Courage is allowing me to touch the places you once locked away because you thought no one could understand them. You do not have to fix everything in one day, nor do you have to become strong on your own before coming to me. Come as you are, with trembling hands, with a heart still marked by many cracks, with questions that have not yet found answers. I will not cast you away. The one who comes to me I will by no means cast out. John 6:37. And that word is the cloak I place over you. When you think you are no longer beautiful enough to be loved, therefore, my beloved child, do not confuse coldness with calm. Do not confuse resignation with faith, and do not confuse control with safety. Your true safety is not found in holding everything tightly, but in being held by me when you belong to me. You can pass through change without falling apart. You can leave what is unhealthy without losing yourself. You can look at the empty space before you and not call it the end. I am clearing things away, not to leave you hollow, but to fill you with new life. I am removing the heavy garments from you, not so that you would stand exposed in fear, but so that I may clothe you with freedom, clarity, and a dignity that no one has the right to take away. Trust me in this process. What truly belongs to you in my purpose will not be lost simply because you stop clinging to it through fear. What I am keeping for you will not fall from my hand. The person I have appointed to walk with you will not require you to lower yourself in order to stay. The door I open will not close simply because you choose peace instead of panic. And if something leaves when you begin to live more truthfully, then let it leave. For there are departures that are the first form of healing. I am moving you from a life of endurance into a life of restoration, from a closed room into a field filled with a new wind, from silent existence into a rhythm of life filled with light, breath, and hope. You are not being left behind. You are being brought back to yourself in me. I am speaking to you with a very gentle voice, not to frighten you, nor to condemn the years in which you tried to protect yourself, but so that you may understand that what is taking place in your soul is not meaningless brokenness. There are seasons in your life that may look like loss, but in my hands, they are a quiet rebuilding. There are shakings that make you think you have been abandoned in confusion, but in truth, I am shaking what is not strong enough, so that you will no longer continue to place your life upon it. My beloved child, I know there were times when you became so wary that you no longer expected much. You learned to lower your desires, so disappointment would hurt less. Learn not to speak your whole heart, so you would not be misunderstood. Learn to keep a safe distance, so no one could touch the place where you had once been wounded. Then little by little, you called that shrinking wisdom, called that defense peace, called that silence maturity. But I see deeper than those names, and I see a soul that has had to become small for too long in order to survive. My child, I do not blame you for building walls. I know why you did it. There are wounds that made you believe that if your heart remained open, you would be hurt again. If you still hoped, you would be disappointed again. If you still trusted people, you would be abandoned again. So you built layer after layer of protection around your heart, not because you were cold, but because you had been hurt. Yet what you have not realized is that some walls first built to keep pain from entering later begin without you knowing it to keep the light from coming in. There are doors you lock to protect the most fragile part of you. But that very place is where I desire to touch you and heal you. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him. Revelation 3:20. I do not force my way into the place you are not yet willing to open. I patiently knock, because my love does not coerce, but steadfastly waits for you to realize that the one standing outside the door is not a danger, but your true refuge. And because I love you, there are times when I will not allow false foundations to keep lulling you to sleep. I know there are things you thought were stable, but in truth they were only familiarity built upon fear. There are connections you called safe, but they did not cause you to grow in truth. There are rhythms of life you called peaceful, but they only kept you from facing my deeper call. So when I allow those things to tremble, do not quickly assume that I am destroying your life. No, my beloved child, I am not destroying you. I am separating what is temporary from what is true, what is old from what is anointed, what was built by fear from what is upheld by promise. Whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. Matthew 7:24. I am bringing you out of the sand of control and setting you upon the rock of belonging. Perhaps you are silently asking if everything that once helped you feel safe begins to shake. Then what will you hold on to? If the ways you once used to keep yourself together no longer work, then how are you supposed to live? Right in that question, I want you to meet me more deeply. For when the old foundations begin to crack, it is not so that you would fall into emptiness, but so that you would see that I never placed your destiny upon things that can disappear. If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? Psalm 11:3. That question is not meant to push you into despair, but to lift your eyes away from the structures you built for yourself and turn them toward the one who cannot be shaken. When you can no longer lean on what was once familiar, you will learn a new kind of dependence, not upon control, not upon guardedness, not upon keeping everything within your reach, but upon me, the one who holds you even when you can no longer hold yourself. Remember Joseph, my beloved child. When he was young, he carried dreams from heaven within him. Yet the road that led to the promise did not look like a glorious path. He was thrown into a pit by the very people who should have protected him, sold into a foreign land, falsely accused though he had lived uprightly, and then forgotten in a dark prison. If seen through human eyes, every foundation beneath Joseph's feet seemed to have been ripped away. Family, freedom, honor, future. But in the hidden place that people called failure, I was forming a man capable of carrying a responsibility greater than his pain. The Lord was with Joseph. Genesis 39:2. That word did not appear only when he was lifted high, but right in the lowest place. I was with him in Potiphar's house, in the prison, in the days when he was forgotten. And that very presence turned the place of confinement into the school of destiny. Do you see? There are seasons when I do not bring you out immediately, because I am doing a work deeper than changing your circumstances. I am enlarging your soul, purifying your motives, strengthening your endurance, sharpening your discernment, so that when the door opens, you will not step into the promise with a heart still ruled by the old pit. Joseph was not merely taken from the prison to the palace. He was taken from being a man who carried a dream to becoming a man mature enough to govern that dream for the life of many people. And so it is with you. What is being dismantled within you is not evidence that I have forgotten you, but a sign that I am preparing you for a wider, truer, purer level of life. What you thought was delay may be the very place where I am protecting you from stepping into something great, before the inside of you has been healed enough to carry it. Therefore, do not see the present shaking as a sentence against you. See it as my call to awaken. When something can no longer shelter you with true life, I will allow you to recognize its emptiness. When a habit no longer serves your growth, I will cause it to lose its old taste. When a wall no longer protects you, but only imprisons you, I will stand before it and knock until you have enough courage to open. You do not need to open your entire heart in a single moment. Only begin with a small opening of trust. Only say to me, Father, I am afraid, but I want to be healed. I will not despise that trembling prayer for a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise. Psalm 51:17. In my kingdom, a truthful heart, though weak, is more precious than a strong appearance that remains closed. I want you to understand that healing is not always as gentle as you may wish. Sometimes healing begins when you can no longer bear the old garment. Sometimes freedom begins with a holy discomfort toward the things that once made you accustomed to living small. Sometimes dawn comes after a long night when you thought there was no way out. But my child, I am still there. I am in every breath you thought you could not survive. I am in the days when you do not know how to name your own emotions. I am in the silence you thought meant you had been forgotten. As I was with Joseph, I am also with you. And as I turned the pit, the prison, and the season of being forgotten into the road that led to his lifting up at the appointed time, I can also use the things that are shaking today to lead you into a firmer land tomorrow. So allow me to enter the closed rooms within your heart. Allow me to touch the places you have hidden because you thought that if anyone saw them, they would leave. I do not leave when I see your wounds. I draw nearer. I am not repelled by your weakness. I place healing oil upon it. I do not call you by the name of your wounded seasons. I call you by the name I wrote upon you before you ever knew what fear was. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. Let that word become the new foundation beneath your feet. Not the voice of the past, not the judgment of others, not the fear of being left behind. I myself am your foundation. And when I rebuild, I do not build hastily upon fragments that have not been healed. I will clear away, arrange, strengthen, and then breathe life into the places that were once dry. You will not live forever in defense. You will not always have to shrink yourself in order to keep the peace. You will not always call numbness stability. I am bringing you into another kind of steadiness, a steadiness that does not need walls too high. Because you know you are guarded. That does not need to control every outcome. Because you know I am leading, that does not need to make itself small. Because you know the light I placed within you is not something to be hidden. Trust me in this season of rebuilding. My beloved child, what is shaking is not meant to bury you, but to free you from the old level. I am moving you from the shelter of fear into the dwelling place of love. From a fragile foundation onto the eternal rock, from a soul that was merely trying to survive into a heart that is truly alive in me. My beloved child, I see within you a very quiet movement, yet it is deeply precious. There are things you once kept trying to accept, things you kept persuading yourself were good enough, that now begin to leave your soul unsettled. You may call it discomfort, a feeling of being out of rhythm, an uneasiness without a clear name. But I speak to you with all the tenderness of a father. This is not a sign that you are falling apart. It is a sign that you are waking up. When my light begins to shine into the places where you had grown used to living in dimness, what is not true will no longer be able to appear as normal as it once did, like the man who had been blind from birth, whose eyes Christ opened in John 9. Once the eyes have come to know what light is, darkness can no longer call itself home. In the same way, when truth touches your soul, the places that were only enough for you to survive will begin to feel too narrow for the life. I am growing within you. I do not want you to condemn yourself for having once lived small. I know you have passed through seasons when silence seemed safer than telling the truth. Lowering yourself seemed less painful than standing upright, and keeping everything under control seemed wiser than opening your heart in trust. You learned to arrange your life around old wounds, like someone building a house around cracks, trying to cover them with habits, responsibilities, and an outward appearance of calm. But my child, I see deeper than that. I do not only see what you have done in order to survive. I see the true person within you, buried beneath many layers of defense. And because I love you, I will not allow you to mistake endurance for destiny. I will not allow you to call numbness peace. And I will not allow you to keep believing that living small is the only way to be safe. There are seasons when I will cause the old things to gradually lose their appeal to you, not because I want to take away your joy, but because those things were never truly the source of life. There are connections that once felt familiar, yet now they make your heart heavy. There are places that once made you feel as though you belonged, yet now they reveal that you had to trade away too much truth in order to remain there. There are voices that once controlled you, yet now they no longer have the power to make you tremble as they did before. Do not panic when you no longer fit into the old garment. Do not be afraid when a familiar structure begins to loosen. When I renew a soul, I also shake what has imprisoned that soul for too long. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You are not being pulled out of what is safe. You are being set free from what only pretended to be safety. I know you have grown used to holding everything together with all your strength. You try to keep the atmosphere calm. Keep your words from being too honest. Keep your emotions from overflowing. Keep just enough distance so you will not be wounded. And keep your heart closed so no one can see the tender places within you. But, my beloved child, you were not created to become a guard, standing forever before your own heart. You were created to be loved, to be healed, to be upheld, to dwell in my presence without having to pretend to be strong. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. Psalm 18:2. That word is not only David's song from long ago. It is the foundation I am placing beneath your feet today. When I am your fortress, you do not need to keep building fragile walls out of fear. When I am your refuge, you do not need to turn your whole life into a lonely stronghold. Remember Gideon, a man who once hid in the wine press to thresh wheat, because he feared the Midianites. In his own eyes, he was small, weak, from an insignificant family, and had nothing worthy of being called a deliverer. But I did not call him according to his fear. I called him according to what I had placed within him. The Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor. Judges 6:12. Do you see? I did not wait for Gideon to feel strong before I called him strong. I did not wait for him to step out of hiding before I saw his worth. I came to him right where he was concealing himself, right where he thought he could only live by caution, and I called him by his true identity. It is the same with you. I do not call you wounded forever. I do not call you one who can only endure. I call you my beloved child, one who is being rebuilt, a soul being awakened, one who will step out of the narrow place and live in the freedom I have prepared. Therefore, when the things that once kept you within the old frame begin to leave your life, do not be quick to see it as loss. Some departures are mercy in an unfamiliar form. Some doors close not to punish you, but to keep you from returning to the place that drained your soul. Some new silences are not loneliness, but the space I used to teach you to hear my voice clearly again. I know that at first you may feel unsteady, because you have grown accustomed to the noise of the old things. But when your soul becomes quiet, you will recognize that true peace does not come from everything around you, never changing. True peace comes from knowing that I am with you in the midst of every change. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:27. This is the peace that does not require circumstances to be perfect before it can be present. It is heaven's watch over your mind as you walk through the unknown. My child, I want you to learn the difference between the stability of control and the steadfastness of faith. Control always forces you to stay tense, to calculate every possibility in advance, to guard against every loss, to build many layers of protection so your heart will not be touched. But faith brings you into another place, a place where you do not know everything, yet you know the one who is leading you. A place where you do not hold every answer, yet you hold my hand. A place where you no longer need to keep everything together by your own strength, because you understand that I myself am keeping what belongs to you. You will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Isaiah 26:7-3. You are not being invited into blind recklessness. You are being invited into holy trust. where your soul no longer trembles before every change, because it knows its foundation is no longer sand. And when I begin to remove the old layers, you will find that emotions you thought had died begin to live again. You will find yourself longing for what is healthier, feeling pain before what is not right, saying no to what once exhausted you, and recognizing that your worth does not lie in pleasing everyone. That is not pride, my beloved child. That is the restoration of dignity. When a soul is healed by me, it no longer offers itself to the things that wither it, and calls that love. When a heart has been touched by light, it no longer easily accepts darkness, simply because that darkness is familiar. I am teaching you to stand in gentleness without weakness, in mercy without self-betrayal, and in love without losing the truth. Allow me to continue rebuilding you upon myself. Do not fear the old pieces falling down. Do not fear the temporary emptiness when I make room within you. A house that is to stand firm sometimes must be cleared of what has rotted deep beneath its foundation. A garden that is to bear fruit sometimes must be pruned of branches that have drawn sap but no longer produce. My Father is the vine dresser. Every branch that bears fruit he prunes that it may bear more fruit. John 15:1-2. My pruning is not rejection. It is preparation for a more fruitful season. What I remove from you cannot be compared with the life I am causing to rise within you. Therefore, my beloved child, continue walking in this awakening without fear. When you can no longer accept what makes you smaller, know that the light within you is growing. When you can no longer endure the old patterns, know that I am expanding your soul. When the things that once clung to you begin to leave, know that my hand has not released you. You will not be empty after the old layers fall away. You will be filled with my presence. You will not lose direction when you leave narrow places. You will learn to walk on the path I illuminate, and you will no longer have to live like someone trying to protect yourself from every pain, because from now on, you will know a truth deeper than every fear. I am your refuge. I am your rock. I am your peace, and in me, you are not only protected, but truly and fully alive. I know, my beloved child, that there are moments when you feel as though everything is slipping out of your hands. The things you once tried to arrange, tried to keep calm, tried to control with all your strength, suddenly no longer remain obediently within the old frame. You look at those changes and think you are losing direction. But I want you to hear my voice in the deepest tenderness. You are not being abandoned in the middle of chaos. I am teaching you a holy lesson about letting go. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Not letting go like a defeated person who has nothing left to hope for, but letting go like a child who is beginning to understand that the Father has never lost his authority. You were not created to carry the whole world in your small hands. You are not the keeper of every door, every connection, every outcome, every appointed time. I am the one who keeps. And when you stop gripping everything in fear, you will begin to feel a support you could not recognize before, because your hands were too busy clinging to what was making you wary. At times you thought control was safety, but I have seen how control has exhausted your soul. You tried to predict every reaction, avoid every conflict, calm everyone's heart, keep everything from falling apart, until you forgot that you too needed to be cherished. You have lived like a watchman standing all night before the door of your own life, not daring to sleep, not daring to breathe deeply, not daring to trust that there is another who stays awake for you. But I say to you, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Psalm 121:4. You may rest because I do not rest in keeping you. You may let go because my hand does not let go. You may stop straining because the stability of your life does not come from your endurance, but from my faithfulness. So when I begin to enlarge you, do not be surprised if the old garments no longer fit. There are patterns that helped you survive for a season, but they cannot carry you into the maturity I have appointed. There are reactions that once protected you from temporary pain, but now prevent you from entering true freedom. There are connections that only fit the old version of you, the version that kept making its voice smaller, hiding its emotions, and accepting less than what I had for you. When you no longer fit those things, that is not pride, nor is it betrayal of the past. It is a sign that you are growing. As Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. 1 Corinthians 13:11. You are also passing through such a sacred threshold, not from love into coldness, but from fear into maturity, not from tenderness into hardness, but from self-betrayal into standing firm in the truth. I want you to understand that maturity in me does not always come with a loud trumpet. Sometimes it comes through no longer being able to tolerate what once drained you. Sometimes it comes through a very small sigh within your heart, when you realize you can no longer keep living the old way. Sometimes it comes through a strange calm, when you choose not to chase what once made you panic. That is when I am changing the substance within you. I am not only changing the circumstances around you. I am touching a place deeper than circumstance. The place where decisions are born, where fear once ruled, where old wounds once taught you how to react. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 36:26. You see, I am not merely painting a new surface over your life. I am changing the heart through a quiet, deep, enduring work so that what is outside you no longer controls you as it once did. When I change the foundation, I do not do it as the world often does, hastily, harshly, forcefully, and then leaving you abandoned among the ruins. I am your Father. I know where you still tremble, where you still fear, where you still cling to the old, because you do not yet know what the new will look like. I do not tear everything from your hands in one moment to prove my power. I teach you to open each finger and trust. I cause you to recognize what no longer carries life. I make false things gradually lose their pull. I place within your heart a peace deeper than familiarity, so that you may understand that the place where you belong is not the old house built from defense, but the dwelling place in me, where love does not require you to lose yourself in order to be accepted. Remember the people of Israel when I led them out of Egypt. They had left a place of slavery, but within their hearts, they were still accustomed to the old rhythm of life. At times they remembered the pots of meat in Egypt, remembered familiar things, even though those very things had once kept them bound. Human beings often fear freedom, when freedom does not yet have a clear shape. But I did not bring them out of Egypt, so they would die in the wilderness. I led them out to form within them a new identity, a people belonging to me, a generation that would learn to follow the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. Exodus 13:21. It is the same with you. I am not leading you out of old structures, so that you may wander without direction. I go before you, illuminating each step, teaching you not to live by the memory of chains, but by the promise of belonging. In this process, you may at times want to return to what is familiar, simply because the familiar is easier to predict than the new. But my beloved child, do not let fear persuade you that the old cage is home. Do not let temporary unsteadiness cause you to call bondage peace. What I am removing from your life is not meant to make you poorer, but to keep you from spending your life on what bears no fruit. What I am changing is not meant to leave you abandoned, but to set you in the right place. If certain doors close, trust that I know why. If certain connections loosen, trust that I see what you have not yet seen. If certain plans no longer unfold the way you thought they would, trust that I am leading you beyond your limited understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. Therefore, when you realize that you are no longer the same as before, do not be quick to panic. When conversations that once pulled you into anxiety now make you want to become still, do not think your heart has grown cold. When places that once felt familiar now leave you wary, do not condemn yourself when you no longer want to chase after others to prove your worth. No longer want to explain too much to those who do not truly desire to understand. You no longer want to step into old cycles just to keep a false sense of belonging. Know that I am teaching you to return to myself. You are not losing your old self in a frightening way. You are being set free from a version of yourself that lived too long in defense. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 36:26. And that new heart will no longer feel at ease in the things that once drew you away from life. Remember Ruth, my beloved child. When Naomi lost her husband, lost her sons, and decided to return to Bethlehem in emptiness, Ruth stood before a very deep crossroads. She could have returned to her old homeland, to familiar things, to a life that was easier to understand. But within her heart, there was a pull that could not be explained by ordinary reason. She said to Naomi, "Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." Ruth 1:16. Do you see? Ruth left the familiar not because she knew the whole future, but because her soul recognized a deeper belonging. And that path, which seemed filled with loss, led her to the field of boughs, to redemption, and to a place in the lineage through which Christ would later be born. There are departures in me that are not the end of blessing, but the doorway into a story greater than anything you had imagined. You are also in such a movement. Perhaps you cannot yet clearly see where your Bethlehem is. Do not yet know what field I will open before you, and do not understand why certain things must fall behind you. But I do not require you to know everything. I only invite you to trust the one who is leading. The place where you are being brought is not built by fear, not supported by striving, not sustained by your continual sacrifice of the truth within you. That place is built upon me. And what is built upon me will not collapse when the wind changes direction, will not disappear when people's hearts change, and will not lose its foundation when circumstances are not yet complete. The eternal God is your refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Deuteronomy 33:27. You were not stepping into undefined emptiness. You were being upheld by arms that never grow weary. I am teaching you a new kind of peace. Before you thought you could only be calm when every story had closed, when everyone understood you, when every relationship had settled, when every plan had a clear answer. You waited for the outer world to become stable before allowing your heart to rest. But I am doing something deeper. I am placing peace before the circumstance. I am causing your heart to become still, even while everything is not yet finished, even while some questions remain unanswered, even while you do not yet know how the next step will unfold. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. Isaiah 26:3. That keeping does not begin with outward order, but with where you place your trust. When you rest in me, you can stand in the middle of what is unfinished, without being swallowed by anxiety. My child, there is a very great difference between living in reaction and living in my presence. To live in reaction is to let every word, every change, every small outward sign pull your heart after it. Someone becomes silent and you panic. A door is slow to open and you begin to doubt. A plan changes direction and you think you have been abandoned. But to live in my presence is to learn to pause in me before answering life. It is to let your breath return to its source. It is to let your soul hear my voice before it hears the voice of fear. My sheep hear my voice and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. As you learn to hear my voice more clearly, the noise of old things will no longer control you as easily as it once did. And yes, as you enter this new rhythm, some people may not understand you. Some places may no longer recognize you. Some patterns may try to pull you back into the old version of yourself, where you were more predictable, easier to please, easier to keep silent. But do not fear the change within you, when that change is drawing you closer to me. Do not apologize because your soul has begun to need the truth. Do not feel guilty because you no longer want to remain in spaces that drain you. Do not call maturity selfishness simply because it no longer allows you to abandon yourself. I am not teaching you to become hard-hearted. I am teaching you to become steadfast. I am not taking mercy away from you. I am purifying that mercy from dependence and fear. I am rebuilding you from within, layer by layer, thought by thought, breath by breath. There are parts of you I heal with a very gentle light. Parts I strengthen through waiting, and parts I set free by allowing you to recognize that the old no longer has the right to hold you. This work is not always loud, but it is very real. One day you will look back and realize that you no longer react as you once did. You will see that what once made you collapse now only causes you to return to prayer. What once made you chase now causes you to stand still in dignity. What once made you tremble now becomes the place where you remember that I am still holding your hand. He who has begun a good work in you will complete it. Philippians 1:6. so you do not need to force yourself to become new in a single day. I will complete what I have begun, so be at peace, my beloved child. What is changing is not a sign that you have been abandoned, but evidence that I am leading you into the right place. What no longer fits you is not your failure, but a sign that your soul has grown in the light. The new silences are not emptiness, but the space I have set apart to restore peace. When you no longer stand in the old house, do not return merely because it is familiar. Keep walking with me. Even if the step is small, even if your heart still trembles, even if you cannot yet see the whole road, I am here. I do not change. I do not move far away. I do not let go of your hand. And the deeper you walk into me, the more you will understand that your true home is not the place where every disturbance ends, but the place where in the midst of every disturbance, you still know you are loved, kept, led, and rightly placed within my heart. I want you to listen deeply, not with the haste of the mind, but with the part of your soul that I am awakening day by day. There will come a time when you begin to realize that not every silence is the same. There is a silence born from fear. When you do not speak, because you are afraid of being misunderstood. Do not step forward, because you are afraid of failing. Do not open your heart, because you are afraid of being wounded again. Do not face things, because you are afraid of losing what is familiar. That kind of silence may appear calm on the outside, but within it there are many locked doors. It does not bring you closer to me. It only causes you to withdraw into a corner of false safety. But there is another kind of silence, deeper, purer, more holy. The silence of a soul that knows it is being held by me. That silence does not make you smaller, it expands you. It does not cause you to hide from the truth. It gives you enough steadiness to face it. It does not paralyze you. It enables you to hear my voice more clearly as I speak in the secret place. In the past, perhaps you mistook silence for peace. You no longer argued, no longer expected, no longer revealed yourself, no longer named what was hurting you. And then you thought that was maturity. But my beloved child, there is a silence that is not maturity, but a wound that has learned to hold its breath. There is a calmness that is not life, but a soul too exhausted to keep crying out for help. I do not condemn you for having lived that way. I know you did it in order to pass through difficult seasons. I know there were times when if you spoke the truth, you feared everything would fall apart if you revealed yourself. You feared you would be rejected if you faced what was before you. You feared you would no longer have a place to stand. But I am teaching you to discern by my light. The Lord will give strength to his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. Psalm 29:11. The peace I give is not avoidance covered with a quiet appearance. It is a gentle strength that helps you stand firm in the truth without being shattered by it. When I begin to rebuild the foundation within you, you will feel that difference more and more clearly. The silence that comes from avoidance will cause you to shrink more and more. Like a closed room with no breath of heaven moving through it, it causes you to avoid the light. Avoid honest prayer. Avoid the questions that need to be answered, and even avoid your own heart. But the silence that comes from my presence will cause you to open like dry ground, touched by the first rain of the season. It does not force you to speak much, but it makes the words you speak truer. It does not compel you to act in haste, but it makes your steps steadier. It does not immediately change every circumstance, but it changes the way you stand within that circumstance. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. That word does not call you to hide in passivity. It invites you to place your heart in me until the strength within you is restored. Remember Elijah on Mount Horeb, my beloved child. He had once stood boldly against the false prophets and had seen fire fall from heaven. Yet afterward he ran away in weariness, loneliness, and fear. He thought he was the only one left. He thought the noise of threats had swallowed up everything I had ever done. When I met him, I did not come only in the strong wind, nor only in the earthquake, nor only in the fire, but after those mighty movements, there was a still small voice. 1 Kings 19. Do you see? There are times when I do not heal you through noise, do not lead you through signs that shake the earth and sky, but through a presence so gentle that only a soul willing to become still can recognize it. Elijah needed to learn that I was still there, not only in visible power, but also in holy quietness, strong enough to call him back to his mission. It is the same with you. There are days when I do not do anything obvious before your eyes. Do not open a door immediately. Do not answer a question at once. Do not remove a burden right away. And in those days, you may think I am silent. But I want you to understand my silence is not my absence. There are times when I stand still in your life to teach you to recognize that my presence does not depend on outward movement. You have grown too accustomed to measuring me by signs, by outcomes, by visible changes. But I am bringing you into a deeper maturity, where you know I am with you. Even when nothing is unfolding the way you hope, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:9-5. That word is not only for the days when you see miracles, but also for the days when all you can do is sit still and breathe in trust in the work I am doing within you. I do not build everything all at once, because I know your soul needs the rhythm of grace. Some days I lay a foundation by reminding you that you are loved, not because you are strong, but because you belong to me. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go, through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. Some days I remove an old layer, a false belief, a fear that has ruled you for too long, or a reaction that once protected you, but has now become a chain. Some days I do not add anything, and do not take anything away. I am simply there, so that you may learn a deeper lesson. Progress does not always make noise, but every day with me is a day held in my keeping. As a skilled builder does not place the roof before the foundation is firm, I also do not rush to build great things upon you, while the inside of you still needs to be healed, strengthened, and set in order again. My beloved child, do not despise the days that seem slow. Do not consider the seasons with no outward movement to be useless. A seed lying in the soil is not a forgotten seed. It is being covered in the necessary darkness, so that roots may be formed. A house under construction does not appear taller every day before the eyes of those who watch. There are days when the builder only measures again, adjusts again, and strengthens the hidden parts beneath. I am doing the same within you. He who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. I do not begin something within you and then leave it unfinished. I do not touch your soul and then withdraw my hand. I do not call you out of the old only to let you wander in emptiness. What I begin, I have the power and the faithfulness to complete. Therefore, when you feel the need to become still, bring that stillness before me and ask, is this quiet causing you to shrink or to open? Is it causing you to avoid the truth, or helping you stand in the truth with a softer heart? Is it separating you from me, or drawing you closer to my voice? I will teach you to discern. I will help you recognize that healthy silence does not freeze your soul. It allows your soul to rest. It does not cause you to disappear. It helps you become more fully present. It does not make you numb. It frees you from hurried reactions so that you can love from a purer place. When you are in my silence, you do not lose your voice. Your voice is purified. You do not lose your direction. Your direction is illuminated. You do not lose yourself. You are brought back to the true self I created. Then you will realize that not every word must be spoken immediately. Not every door must be opened by your own strength. Not every conflict must be solved by anxiety. And not every empty space must be filled with noise. There are things that only become clear when you remain still in me long enough for fear to settle. There are decisions that only become clear when you stop reacting from wounds and begin listening from my presence. There are answers that do not come like thunder, but like dawn spreading gently over your mind. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. That lamp does not always illuminate the whole journey far ahead. Sometimes it only lights the next step, but the next step in my light is still safer than a long road built by your fear. Be at peace. My beloved child, I am in this work. I am in the day when you are strong, and also in the day when you are tender and weak. I am in the moment when you understand, and also in the moment when you do not yet understand. I am in the dismantling, in the rebuilding, in the waiting, in the silence, in every breath you thought was ordinary. You have not been abandoned in the middle of the process of being made new. I am the merciful master builder, and your soul is not an abandoned house in my hands, but a place I am preparing for life, light and peace to dwell. Let me lead you into that second kind of silence, the silence of presence, of trust, of healing, of a heart that no longer has to hide in order to feel safe. And as you learn to stand still in me, you will see that you are not stuck. You are being made firm. You are not forgotten. You are being completed. You are no longer living in the silence of fear, but in the holy stillness where I whisper, I am here, I am working, and I will never leave unfinished what I have begun in you. I speak to you with the gentleness of the one who has walked with you through every layer being removed, every day of waiting, every quiet space where you thought nothing was happening. I know there are times when you look within your heart and feel emptiness, as though the old has left, but the new has not yet become clear. You wonder whether you are standing in the middle of an unfinished house among walls still incomplete, upon ground still carrying the dust of what has just been cleared away. But my beloved child, listen to me. when in that very emptiness, you begin to sense a strange warmth, a tenderness that does not come from circumstance, a support that does not need anyone's voice to confirm it. That is a sign that the work within you is being completed by me according to the rhythm of grace, not because everything outside has become stable, not because every question has been answered, not because every door has opened before your eyes, but because I have come very near in every part of you that you once thought was coldest. You once searched for a place to lean on, like someone passing through a long night, looking for a light in the distance. At times you leaned on people, at times on familiarity, at times on carefully arranged plans, and at times on your own ability to endure. But now you have begun to think, to realize that fragile things cannot become an eternal home. They may cover you for a while, but they cannot keep your soul from storms. They may give you a temporary feeling of calm, but they cannot give you true belonging. Therefore, I have not merely repaired a small corner of your life. I have begun to rebuild your dwelling place from the deepest foundation. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Psalm 120:17-1. Do you see what I am building within you is not being built by your striving, but by my faithful hand, and this is the wonder. I am not only the builder standing outside the work and watching it. I am the foundation beneath your feet, the unshakable rock when the winds arise. I am the wall around you, no longer allowing old fear to invade your heart as it once did. I am the roof over your head, so that you no longer have to live like someone exposed to every word, every change, every sudden rain of life. I am the breath within that house, the life moving through rooms that were once closed. When you are in me, you are not only protected from the outside, you are made alive from within. For in him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. This is the reality into which I am bringing you. Not a place to visit when you are weary, but a deep dwelling where your soul finds its true home. Before you were used to living like a guest in your own life, you stepped lightly, spoke softly, kept your heart cautious, as though at any moment you could be pushed out of the place where you stood. You did not dare to belong too deeply, did not dare to rejoice too fully, did not dare to rest too long, because a part of you always feared that what was good would leave. But I did not create you to wander among temporary shelters. I did not form your soul only to come to me occasionally when you were hurting, and then return to life beneath the structures of anxiety. I created you to abide in me, to belong to me, to breathe in my presence as a branch abides in the vine. Abide in me and I in you. John 15:4. That word is not a distant invitation. It is the home I have opened for you. Remember Jacob on the night he left home, carrying fear, uncertainty, and a future that had not yet taken clear shape. He lay down to sleep in the wilderness, using a stone as his pillow, with no roof, no walls, and no one beside him to assure him that everything would be all right. But in that very place that seemed so empty, I showed him a ladder connecting earth with heaven, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon it. When he awoke, Jacob cried out, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." Genesis 28:16. My beloved child, there are places you thought were wilderness that are actually places where I reveal my presence. There are seasons when you thought you had no home that become the very moments when I teach you that true home is not first found in a location, in people, or in circumstances, but in the truth that I am with you. So when you feel my warmth in the empty spaces that once held only coldness, recognize it as the mark of a new establishment. I am turning the place that once held fear into a place of presence. I am turning the room that once carried painful memories into a place of quiet worship. I am turning the silence that once made you feel lost into the place where you hear my voice more clearly. Not every piece may yet appear to be in its place before your eyes, but the foundation within you has begun to become firm. And when the foundation is firm, you will no longer be pulled away by every outward change as you once were. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved but abides forever. Psalm 125:1. I am forming that kind of steadiness within you, not hardness born of self-defense, but firmness born of being established upon me. You no longer have to live by patching yourself together. You no longer have to take a little recognition here, a little safety there, a little fragile hope from changing things in order to build peace for yourself. I am bringing you out of a life that borrows stability from the outside. I am placing within you a deeper source where peace no longer depends on who stays, who leaves, what opens, or what closes. The river of God is full of water. Psalm 65:9. And that river does not run dry when circumstances become barren. When you are in me, you do not need to ask the world to give you an identity. You do not need to plead with fragile things to confirm that you are worthy of love. I am the one who calls you by name, keeps you, covers you, and causes you to know you belong. I am speaking this to you as a word of establishment, not as a passing comfort. From now on, learn to live, not as someone standing outside the door, hoping to be invited in, but as a child who already has a place in the Father's house. You do not need to knock on the door of my presence with the fear that I may refuse you. You do not need to prove that you are strong enough, good enough, or worthy enough before you may rest in me. Christ said, "In my Father's house are many mansions." John 14. And I want you to understand with your whole heart that your place in me is not temporary. I have not given you a small corner of mercy. I have opened for you a dwelling place in unchanging love. When this becomes real within you, the way you walk through life will be different. You will no longer panic before every small change, as though it has the power to take away your foundation. You will no longer chase after things that make you forget your dignity. You will no longer turn yourself into a temporary guest in places that do not know how to honor the presence I have placed within you, because you have learned this deep truth. Your place of belonging cannot be taken away by those who do not understand. You cannot be destroyed by circumstances that are not yet complete and cannot be shaken by the winds outside. Your place of belonging is in me, and what I establish within you is kept by my own hand. Therefore, let your heart rest in that warmth that is growing within you. Do not treat it as something small. It is the whisper of a new home within your soul. It is the sign that the inner rooms are being opened to the light. It is proof that I have not merely come to visit you in your pain, but that I am dwelling within you with enduring life. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. 1 Corinthians 6:19. Therefore, you are not a desolate place. You are a place I am filling with my presence. Keep walking as one who has been welcomed into everlasting love. Breathe as one who is no longer being driven out of peace. Live as one who no longer has to search for a roof for the soul, because in me you already have a home, a foundation, a refuge life, and a belonging that nothing outside can shake.